our time. I know that a lot of us have to be elsewhere tonight, so we're going to try to keep this as brief as possible, but I think it's very important for a wonderful person that served the town for many years. Rana, are you there? No. I'm here. Gene Goodman? Nope. Jake Granito, we know, is not going to be here, but he voted in favor. Hank Green?
Here, present.
Okay. Steve Haberstroff? Jack Hawkins? I see Jack.
Jack is here. Jack is here.
Yes, I am.
Great. Matthew Conspore? I know he's here. Yeah.
Yep.
Great. Carl Mason?
Yep.
Keith Ritchie?
Here.
And Francesca?
Here.
Great. All right. And Gene Goodman just joined.
Right.
Which
Yes.
is great.
He's joining.
Yeah, he's joining right now. All right. Do we have, does this constitute a quorum? I believe it does.
Yes.
It does. Okay, great. I would like to first thank you all for joining us on this for this special meeting, but I think a very important one. Over the weekend, we obviously lost an extremely dear friend to all of us. And obviously people like B and Bob have worked with him for many, many years. I would just like to, for a couple seconds, have a moment of silence in memory of Steve. Thank you. I would like now to turn this over to Steve Carl and Sven Englund, who are in town council and have been kind of spearheading this important tribute. So Steve, turn this over to you.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much. And thank you to Parks and Rec for hearing us tonight. You know, we're trying to get out by 6:30, but we'll try to get brief and get you out even quicker than this. But to give you a little background introduction, a while back it was brought to our attention that Steve Benko was celebrating 50 years of employment with the town. And it was coming up on June 1st of this year. So we started to talk about a way to honor him on that occasion, on that anniversary. And as you know, he became ill and it really quickly turned really bad. And obviously he's passed. And we want to accelerate the idea of trying to name something after him. So, and as you know, many people have worked for the town of New Canaan, but nobody's quite like this guy. I mean, this is a very unique situation. He's done substantial and sustained work in this town. He's had a huge impact on the community. Obviously, his love for New Canaan is second to none. We put together a small group to explore the possibilities of naming something after him. And we want to commemorate this 50 years of amazing service. So we looked at various things in town, including, the 3 different parks. We looked at Mead, Kiwanis, Irwin. We looked at the track. We talked about a whole bunch of different ideas. And obviously the pool and Waveney Park came as obviously his love. And we kind of narrowed it down to the pool now as the #1 choice. Location within the park just fit the bill because he was so involved with it. We actually checked with Sue a couple of weeks ago, and Sue actually brought it up with Steve and asked him what his 2 biggest accomplishments were in his career, or a couple of accomplishments that were in his career. And he mentioned the Dunning Stadium and the pool as kind of 1 and 2. So obviously we can't rename Dunning Stadium, but the pool is open, and that's the idea that we'd like to present. We knew we were on the right track when the 50th anniversary of his employment literally coincided with the 20th anniversary of the pool opening in June of 2002. So that was kind of an amazing coincidence that those 2 dates kind of line up perfectly. So I've asked Sven in on this conversation. I started to put together, a list of Steve's accomplishments and all of his work on Park and Rec, but I'm literally preaching to the choir here. You guys have all worked with him. You've all known him. Each one of you has individual stories. We could probably talk for hours about interactions with Steve and everything that he's done in the town. Everybody. I mean, when you look at that New Canaanite, I started copying and pasting into a document just little snippets of stories and quotes from people. And I stopped when I got to 3 full pages of just literally just snips out of those, you know, pages of comments. I mean, it's remarkable. And when you talk about Mr. New Canaan, this is the guy. I mean, everybody jokes about, hey, you're Mr. New Canaan, but this is Mr. New Canaan. I mean, and it's just an amazing, amazing story about, you know, the bond that he has with this town and everything he's done for this town. So I'll kick it over to Sven just for a minute. And Sven, maybe you can just talk about some of the reasoning behind, you know, getting to this point and what Steve's meant to the town. And then we'll just go on and take some Q&A.
Great, thanks, Steve. Well, Steve was an all rec department. You know, I met him through the fire company and he was my chief for 15 years, lifetime member there. He was a state instructor. He spent a lot of time making sure that people were safe. He was a charter member, that's a founding member of New Canaan Volunteer Ambulance Corps. Yeah, there was a time when we didn't have ambulances in town. So he's really put together, you know, a whole life safety background that, you know, a lot of us don't know about because he spent a lot of time as a state instructor, you know, teaching people how to save people, you know, and get them out of, you know, wrecked cars and burning cars. An amazing, amazing instructor. You know, you read all the stuff, you know, that we've seen, you know, and you know, there's just so much stuff that's come through. I mean, you know, but, you know, the points are, you know, the people have said, you know, the pride that he took in his job, the trust that people had in him, right? And the fact that he would always do the right thing. And, you know, it was a humble guy too. I mean, the guy would clean toilets, unclog toilets, pick up trash, pick up dog poop, you know, throw it in the back of the pickup truck, you know, drive it around the back of Waveney and throw it in the dumpster. You know, he would do everything. I mean, you know, picking up, cleaning up, putting together, setting up, tearing down. The guy did everything in this town except retire.
That's true. Very true, Sven. Thank you. You know, there's a couple things about the pool that connected Steve to the pool, and you know, we went back and looked at some of the connections in the local reporting as far back as back in 11 of 95. Steve Banco, this is November of 1995. Steve Banco helps recommend that the town study the idea of adding a pool, cites the Roland plan with the development of 1974, stating the town should look at developing a Waveney golf course, ice skating, indoor-outdoor pool facility. And even then, you know, they talked about a retractable roof on the pool. Obviously, that idea was quickly scratched. But he was part of being, you know, he was with Dick Bond from the beginning and was instrumental in getting this pool built. In July of '98, Steve Banco plays an instrumental role in convincing boards and commissions that the pool should be built. He cites 5 prior studies and efforts in his argument that, and he quotes him as saying, it does not clash with the original guidelines of the park. It will support park recreation and conservation clause in the original deed. And he goes on as being quoted as basically Nostradamus, that the parking lot will be utilized for other park related activities. I mean, that was incredible foresight. I mean, you think about, you know, the Christmas tree collection we've had there, Lobster Fest, overflow parking for different events, caffeine and carburetors, even storing the Mead Park playground there, all that stuff. He had foresight, seeing that the pool would be used for that kind of thing. It really is amazing. He also went on to, you know, thank the building committee, was part of the grand opening of the pool, and he was there from the beginning. So, you know, I can't think of a person or a place that New Canaan could thank him more than, you know, the naming the pool in his honor, you know. And I think that's something that will live on for a long, long time. I mean, you're talking about a facility that'll probably be around 50 or 100 years from now, God willing. And I just think it's the right thing to do. So, you know, at this point, you know, I guess I'll take some Q&A. I don't know, George, it's your meeting. I don't want to run the meeting, but if anybody has any questions.
Steve, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from members of the commission? John and Tiger or Tucker, would you guys like to say any, add any commentary?
The only thing that I would add is that we have, as you all have seen, and we've received a lot of wonderful emails from people thanking Steve for everything that he did for everyone. And we did have a request, which Tiger, I think if Tiger's on this call, he's aware of it. Jim Gerwick, who's run a ton of the races in and around Waveney, he also had a suggestion that, we possibly name the trail down by the cornfields, maybe like we've got Tiger Trail, that maybe we name it Benko Way or something like that. So we can do multiple things. I mean, this obviously is the big deal and the big recognition, but we just told him that, thank you. And he offered to help pay if there's any expenses related to signage or anything like that.
Okay. If, Tucker, if you would like to have this person email me with his email and have him put on the March agenda,
okay,
we can certainly do that. And if you would like to make a proposal and go forth from there, that would be great. I think that would be very appropriate for March, and I like the suggestion.
I do have one question. Have you decided on what the name of the pool will be? Will it be the Steve Benko pool or what?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And, it's come up, Francesca, in a bunch of conversations. And I believe the way it will be presented to the Board of Selectmen and then onto the Town Council will be the Steve Benko pool. We want to make sure that like Dunning Stadium is named after James Dunning. Nobody really calls it James Dunning Stadium, but you want to have Steve's name in here because it's about Steve, and it'll probably be referred to sort of the slang version as the Benko pool or it'll be shortened naturally, but the name of the pool will be known as and signed as Steve Benko pool. So we envision having an ad hoc committee put together, and we'll want at least one or two representatives from Park and Rec on this committee to help with signage, help with, we would definitely want to do a dedication party, probably first weekend in June to coincide with the anniversaries. So we'll be asking for some help. We'll have, an invitation, probably a town-wide event held at the pool, which, you can envision a second ribbon cutting, if you would.
If I can follow up to that,
Sure.
We're talking about naming the whole pool complex after Steve Benko, right? Not just one of the pools.
That's correct.
Okay, good.
Yep. Steve, would it be helpful if I read what the verbiage on this?
Yes, that'd be helpful.
And if we feel comfortable, we can go to a motion with a second. But I want to make sure before I read this, are there any other questions or comments?
George, I'd just like to make, similar to what Sven said, being a fire chief in another town, you go to training anywhere in the state. And if you start talking about where you work or son, oh, how's Steve doing? And that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Even taking classes from him years ago when he was more active in training, it's just amazing how he's impacted so many people.
Absolutely. Yep. And I think it often...
George, I would just add that the pool subcommittee that I'm on, I think Matt Conspor is on, would be happy. I won't speak for Matt, you can chime in, but Steve Carl, we're happy to help with the pool committee, subcommittee if George sees that's a good fit. Matt Conspor, you're welcome to chime in here.
I'm good with that.
That'd be great.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ronna. Thank you, Matt. I did actually reach out after the research to Ann Cotton, who was instrumental in getting the pool built, as well as Bob Rogers. And, they're both not even in the area anymore. The Cottons were down in Kiowa, actually. And to a man, they want to come back. They want to be involved in this. They want to be there when this happens. They both said the same thing, that Steve was so instrumental in doing that, but also they knew Steve, and anybody that's lived here knows what he does. I mean, what he did. I mean, it's just amazing how everybody agrees that he's done the work here of 10 men for 50 years. I mean, it's really amazing. And you know, Tucker mentioned a request of naming a trail. I received requests from people that I haven't heard from in years. Hey, you should name this road after Steve. Hey, are you thinking about this? Are you thinking about that? I mean, it's amazing the way people reach out and say, you know, that's the first thing that comes to mind. You got to name something to Waveney after this guy. So this is an easy one.
Right. Right.
It came up at the Senior Men's Club group, and we're going to do a bench in his name by the paddleball courts. And when they heard about the possibility of the pool being named after Steve, I thought it was a great idea.
Good.
And hopefully you've all seen that we draped all of the park signs sort of in a black bunting, if you will, this week.
Nice.
I saw that. I think also the Exchange Club, was Keith and I a part of, will probably do something similar to what Keith is in. I don't know exactly what the board has to meet and just discuss those options as well. So, but.
Can I just make a quick comment as far as the pool?
Sure.
For Steve, the pool was like his fourth child. So I think it's spot on that we name it. He's said that many times. If you've spoken to him, it would just bring a smile to his face, and he would say, you know, how many children do you have? Well, I have 3 children, really 4 if you count the pool. So I think it's spot on if you do that.
Right. Thanks, Steve. Okay. Any other questions or comments before we move on to make a formal motion? But to Francesca's point, I want to read this sort of verbiage. This will, what we're voting on, this verbiage will also be used with town council as well. Okay, because it goes from us to them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it goes for tomorrow morning at 8:30. The Board of Selectmen will weigh in too, George. So it'll go from you to Board of Selectmen and then on to the council in the evening. So
perfect. Okay, thanks, Steve. Yep. Thank you. Okay. Consideration of a request to name the town pool at Waveney Park as the Steve Benko Pool in honor and recognition of Stephen Benko Jr.'s 50 years of dedicated service as an employee and ambassador of the town of New Canaan. I think that's well said. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll approve, but I think it should also be sure to say that the whole pool pavilion is named after him. No?
Steve,
Francesca, I'll make sure it's noted that you made that comment, and you know, as it goes through, you know, one of the things about naming the whole, to me, it's the Steve Benko Pool, but you still could have the ability to name a pavilion there or name something event, you know, within the next 50 or 100 years. You want to leave that open so that, you know, you could actually name a secondary piece there if you wanted to, but that's, you know, that's for another time down the road.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. Rana, I saw your hand goes up as a proposer. Is there a seconder? Keith, thank you. All those in favor, signify by raising the right hand. Opposed? And we know that Jake Granito voted his approval on an email vote to us today. So it's unanimous. It's approved. Steve and Sven, thank you for the excellent presentation, and good luck in tomorrow, Board of Selectmen, and then on to Town Council. Hopefully this is a kind of a no-brainer per se. I think it helps punctuate the message of a person that gave tirelessly and selflessly to this town.
I want to leave you all with something before you end. A crazy thing just happened. I've got the goosebumps here. I'm sitting in the town hall meeting room, getting ready for the Board of Finance meeting. I've got 2 computers going on, turning on the town computer, which I had loaded this afternoon with everything for tonight. And I just, as you all were voting on that, I noticed that on the screen, on my screensaver here, there's a thumbnail photo, and that's never there. And I just opened it up, and it's a picture of Steve driving Old Faithful on Halloween. I don't know how this got on this computer. It wasn't there like 4 hours ago. I don't know how it got on there, but I'm looking at it right now, and he's got a bunch of kids in the fire engine, which tells me, everybody, he's right here right now and loving what y'all just did.
No problem. And Tucker, can you just briefly tell everybody about the plans for the service while we're all here?
So there's calling hours on the 23rd. I think the obituary has now been posted with Hoyt's. I think it's 4 to 8 at Hoyt's, and then the next day, the 24th, at First Presbyterian Church, and then a reception after at Waveney. Plans are in motion, I believe, and the team over there is working on that.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
Picture, he's very happy in this picture, guys.
Yeah.
Pete, Steve, John, just wanted to say to you guys, you know, you work so close with him. You know, my deepest condolences.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Maybe I can.
And to be as well. Probably worked as
Yeah.
close with him as anybody.
I think I said B first.
Thank you,
I
Sven.
thought I said B.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Yeah.
I know, Sven. Thank you so much.
Oh, look at that photo cut. Okay, guys, thank you again for joining the special meeting, and we will look forward to connecting you soon. I think we did a great thing tonight.
Thank you,
I
George.
agree.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Sounds good.
Special.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
You're gonna
Do I
stop
have
it.
to stop the recording first? I think so.